Hey dudes, it's Lerald. A couple of days ago, GGG put out their What We're Working On post detailing their plans for making Ailith encounters in Breach a little bit easier and more fair, especially for melee players. So this was a pretty good set of changes. That's what this video is going to be about. I'll just hit you with the usual ask of like and subscribe and join the Discord, and let's kind of go ahead and get into the patch notes, which are now here. Alright, so let's start with the first one. This is probably the biggest thing that people really wanted, especially melee. Ranged monsters now have to move closer to Ailith. This is a pretty noticeable difference. There were a lot of monsters that were hitting her from off screen with skills that would like pierce through me, so I couldn't even body block them, or they're very dangerous and I wouldn't want to body block them, and it just felt very unfair. And now they really do have to move much, much closer to her, and that's just a lot fairer for everybody, but definitely for melee. It was really unfair for melee builds how far they had to run out. Ailith now also creates skills more frequently during the Hive Fortress encounters. This is different from the just sort of outdoor Hive encounters that you experience. There's still only 6 at a time, so you are still incentivized towards using them. I mean, you want to use more of them at the end because that's when it really gets nasty, but at the same time you have an incentive to actually use some earlier on since you were going to have more of them. Ultimately, this just lowers the difficulty, right? Especially the empowered flame. That's something that's not really very well tutorialized in the game. Like, what is an empowered flame? Basically, it's righteous fire without like a great cosmetic associated with it, and you absolutely like turn into an insane fireball. So you hit that empowered flame and then go hug monsters and they'll die instantly. They also increased the cooldown for Ailith not taking damage when she was hit, which wasn't, we saw that they said that was a plan in the What We're Working On post, but I certainly wasn't able to tell that this was something that existed. She seemed like she just got like immediately blitzed down by any sort of pack of monsters or soul eater monsters or something, so this has definitely made it a little bit easier. They've also added in a pity mechanic for failing breach hives and Hive Fortress encounters, so that they will now drop loot from the monsters at least, but they still don't give graft blood or womb gifts. This still feels a little bit too punitive to us. If they at least gave some graft blood, since graft blood is generally the bottleneck of this league mechanic, that would feel a lot better than it is. It's still an improvement, but, maybe not far enough, ultimately. Now here's the real big one. This is the one that everybody's been asking for. They've removed Soul Eater as a possible thing that can spawn on rare breach or Blight monsters. Blight is just straight up getting buffed for free out of this league mechanic happening. Just Soul Eater is gone from Breach and Blight monsters. They really buried the lead. I guess I did too. What a huge change though. Ultimately, like, this is great. This could have been top of the post and then nothing else could have been here and people would have showed up being like, this is the greatest post of all time. Soul Eater stinks. Hopefully this is the prelude to Soul Eater just getting reworked and nerfed into dust in a future league. But at the very minimum here, this is great. We'll take it. Another really huge buff here is that Mysterious Womb Gifts no longer grant regular maps. Instead, they can grant unique maps, like some cool maps like Shaper Guardian and Synth maps. Like, that's fine, that's useful. But something that I had definitely run into with like birthing a bunch of Mysterious Womb Gifts, man, this league is disgusting, is I just kept getting like tier 14, tier 15 garbage maps, and that was like getting a little disheartening. So having that be completely removed from the loot table, and now I could just get like stacked decks or something, is definitely a big improvement. Artificial selection, that is this bonus in the Genesis tree right here, the increased chance for Mysterious Womb Gifts to birth infrequently found items, now affects the chance of getting hive brain glands from the tree. This is something that's probably a buff long-term, but a bit of a nerf at the current moment, and I'm going to find some of those. Hive brain glands are the item that you put into the map tab in the map device, just like you would put in a scarab or whatever, and they will guarantee that the next map has the breach boss encounter in it. And that's good to be able to get more of those. Like, that's definitely a net positive, but at least at the time of recording, or last time I checked, these were they were worth like 5 chaos or something. Very, very, very low value. So it's sort of like a big buff for solo self-found players who want to do the boss, but kind of a nerf for people who want to use this to make money. Breach encounters are now activatable by pressing your League interface bind. Default key is V. I have mine on my mouse. This is great. This is something a quality of life I didn't even know I was missing, to be honest. It's really good. And Ailith now has the same quick action shortcuts as other vendors, right? Just quality of life again. There's a lot of other things in here that are just like bugs and so on that are being fixed as well. One that really I knew I wasn't going crazy is this one in particular, a desync that would cause unstable breaches to look like they were already open a lot of the time when you would come up on them. I knew this was happening, and it's nice to see that it was real and is actually being fixed. There are a couple of other things that have been changed in here again that are, you know, evidence of GGG kind of burying the lead. Captured beasts are now placeable in merchants tabs, so asynchronous trade is now available for beasts. This is something that they had initially said it seemed like that it was intended for them to not be placed in, and really what they meant was there was some sort of bug and they hadn't gotten it fixed, but now you can put captured beasts into merchant tabs, and that is doable. Transfigured gems were apparently not selling. They weren't working with the in-game market search, so people using the website would like still be able to find them, but the market panel, it wasn't working. So you're definitely going to have an easier time selling transfigured gems off of that as well. There are a handful of other changes in here as well that are pretty much just all bug fixes. So we spent some time streaming this tonight and just kind of testing out how these changes had impacted breaches. And, you know, the first couple of things that we noticed were that, yes, removing the soul eaters really just made breach feel super smooth, just like the smoothest, creamiest peanut butter or regular butter or whatever, something else that is smooth. The point is, there were never any of those like horrible hitches where you just get like hard locked on a soul eater mob that's wrecking everything. So that was a massive improvement. Also, the adding of the extra action button, whatever keybind you have it set to activate the skills while in the hives, especially the hive fortresses, is pretty good for being able to activate them if it is getting kind of tense. Honestly, though, on Toxic Brain Pathfinder, it's not tense at all. It's damn near trivial. But again, like, quality of life that we didn't even know we needed, but we're glad to have. There was one little thing that I noticed kind of early on that I felt like I wasn't getting gifts from fortresses, and thankfully this was fixed by the time we were streaming, but like playing around with this a little bit before stream. Apparently they messed up and made it so that the womb gifts from fortresses were dropping inside the fortresses, but they fixed this pretty quickly. I think the original post was at like 9 something. 950, and they fixed this within less than 3 hours, so that's pretty solid. Ultimately, this has been a pretty great patch, a pretty great league thus far. This isn't quite our official review of it, but it's never been easier to get like good crafted items, good 6-link items. Obviously, we love that. I think this helm with like triple T2 or better resistances and like a T1 life roll, I bought from somebody for like 5 chaos because it costs almost nothing to make these with the Genesis tree, and that's great. It's great for the state of the game. Currency farming is a little bit questionable right now. People are still figuring out new good currency farming strategies. We're working on that as well, but ultimately, this league is really great. We're having a great time. 9 out of 10, would highly recommend. I think that's fair. Alright, that's it. Be sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and join the Skipping Sleep Studio Discord and become part of our community. And finally, thank you to all of our channel members. If you want to support us and help us make more PoE content, become a channel member or come boost the Discord. Thanks for watching. Bye.